Welcome to Coach's Corner, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Coach Paul Tripoli. Coach Tripp to my players, where I coached high school for about 15 years here in Pensacola, Florida. Redneck Riviera. I got a special guest, a good friend of mine, Will Kennedy, on Voice of the Argos. Will, thanks for joining the show today.
Pleasure to be here, Paul. Yeah, this is an unbelievable little slice of the world, the Gulf Coast, the lower Alabama, Pensacola, Florida, the Redneck Riviera, as you said. Love being back home and excited to be getting ready for another UWF football season.
Man, it's such a smorgasbord, a montage of fans in this area. Almost split evenly, Alabama, Auburn, Florida State, Argos. You even have a lot of sprinkling of LSU, Southern Miss, Troy, South Alabama. A lot of alumni in this area from a bunch of different colleges.
Yeah, what's cool too is it's always had that kind of regional vibe. And because there was no football team here in Pensacola at the University of West Florida until, 7-8 years ago, you had all these different people. And what I love about it is they can still be fans of FSU, Auburn, Alabama, whoever it is. I root for my Texas Longhorns, but I can also root for the UWF Argos. And we're getting a lot of that. We're getting a lot of people that are like, I'll go watch a game in Doak Campbell, or I'll go down to the swamp, or I'll go up to Tuscaloosa, but I'm also going to spend a weekend and take the family and come out to Penn Air Field in Pensacola and watch the Argos play. I see more gear around town than I've ever seen, people wearing the Argos stuff. And, not to brag, but the last time I saw the little map on social media that was like the last football champion from all 50 states, guess whose logo, that one right over your shoulder there, was the only one on the Florida map. So, there could only be one.
What a tradition. I mean, my gosh, 10 national titles. There's so much to talk about. And let's expand a little bit on that theme, student population growth. My gosh, Will, it's over 14,000 now, the enrollment. I heard they got over 10,000 applications. It's growing at a rate that I didn't foresee. Some visionaries did, like Bobby Bowden. When I had him on my show, he thought UWF could maybe one day be a Division I school. That's a potential, he thought. Your thoughts on the growth and even the surrounding campus around the area?
The Bowdens, speaking of Bobby there, Coach Bobby, but the Bowdens saw this way in advance. Terry Bowden, in an interview a long time ago, back to the mid-'90s. I was talking with him. We were setting up a satellite shot just across the state line over in the Fairhope Foley area, and ABC wanted to do a shot with him. So I went over there to kind of man the camera and do all that. We're talking beforehand. And he said, man, if that school ever got a football program, he said they could win a national championship inside of 10 years.
Wow.
We did it.
Tommy said that?
No, Terry.
Terry
we did it. We
Wow.
did it in 4, not 10. But I mean, but that was a testament, Paul, and you know this from coaching here. I mean, that's a testament to the talent level that's here. But what's really been different, to kind of talk about what you were talking about with enrollment and growth, is that, yes, we've got local players, obviously. You want to keep that home as much as possible. And a lot of times, for those listening, the kid wants to go off to a Division I. They want to go play somewhere else, and then they come back to us because, it didn't work out for whatever reason, or they just miss home. And they realize Pensacola's got beaches and a cool downtown. It's a fun place to be. Oh, and there's a program there that's winning at an incredible clip. And so they get a chance to come home. But we're also, not just for football players, we're becoming a university of choice for kids in the state of Florida, from Miami all the way up. So kids from the Tampa area and Orlando area and other parts of Florida, Homestead, Fort Myers, you name it, they're coming here. And so from a student standpoint, I teach courses, and I'll say, when we're introducing ourselves in that first class, where are you from? They'll say, I'm from, wherever in Florida, Lake Butler, or, whatever it is. And I'll say, well, what brought you up here? Well, one of my kids that went to my high school is on your football team, and, that you guys were winning, and I saw that, or, whatever it is, or science program, or college of business. And so it used to be UWF was kind of like, hey, you commuter school if you lived in Pensacola and you were still trying to get your degree while you're working a full-time job, whatever it was, raising your kids, or you didn't get into FSU or Florida or whatever the school was. Now kids are like, no, that's my first choice. I'm going to go out and be an Argo. And I think, look, there's a lot of reasons why, and credit should be spread around to the academics and the student life and the campus life. Football is a huge part of that. Dr. Martha Saunders, our president, she knew that. And we had to move to campus last year for all our games earlier than we anticipated. And we weren't ready for it. We didn't have a stadium yet and all that kind of stuff. It just, some stuff happened downtown with the minor league baseball stadium there and the Blue Wahoos. But what's been huge about that is, and that was always part of the plan, is it's going to have such a positive impact on the student experience to have home football games on campus. I saw it last year in spades. You saw it. You came out to games. I mean, they have their tailgate. The kids are over there. They're asking me, Professor Kennedy, can we camp out the night before in the student tailgate? I'm like, no, you cannot. And the police will remove you if you try it, the campus police. No, but they're showing up at 7 a.m. to get their tailgate started. You know, the first game, Paul, that we had last year, the first home game on campus, we had them out there tailgating. And I guess we didn't think about, okay, you got to set a time that the tailgate has to stop because the game was over and the kids were still out there tailgating. They never even came into the stadium. They were just out there having a good time. So, yeah, it's been fantastic to watch the growth of this university, and football is a huge part of it.
Oh, yeah, they rally around it. It all started at the first title game that you guys went to, and then the national title victory in 2019. With that amazing team, that title against Minnesota State, Austin Reed, the quarterback, threw for 399 yards, a total school record of 523 yards and 6 touchdowns in that win. That was a springboard for a lot of people to notice, but also the momentum has still been with the team and the university. I think that had a springboard. Being a winner will attract more and more people.
No, absolutely. I mean, we made obviously did not get to play in 2020 coming off the title. And that's the one thing that sticks with me is, we didn't get a chance to have that momentum, roll right into that next season and defend that championship. You came back in 2021 with basically everybody that would have been there for 20, had a great season, and then just had a bad playoff game. And that, that goes to show you, one, how difficult it is to win a title in a true playoff format like Division II has, And so you could be the best team in the country. And I thought we were. I thought we had the best. We lost a regular season game to West Georgia. We didn't play well in that game, but, it was a year where everybody was beating everybody, the better teams. And then to have that playoff game go that way and then lose Austin Reed, who you mentioned, but to be able then to come back that next year after Austin goes to Western Kentucky in the transfer portal, and by the way, leads the nation in passing and is the top returning statistical quarterback at the Division I level, to come back last year, go 12-2, go back to the national semifinals, and be a couple plays away potentially from playing for a title again. I mean, that just says it's not just momentum, it's sustained excellence, right? And we played 6 seasons, right? So here's the math for everybody. Played 6 seasons. We've been to the Final Four 3 times, half the time. And we've played in 2 national championship games, in 6 seasons, right? And made the playoffs in another season. So 4 out of our 6 seasons, we've been a playoff team. And now that momentum is rolling. And even 2018, going back to the year after we played for the title in 17, bad luck. I mean, we played 7 quarterbacks, and some of those were wide receivers and running backs taking snaps, and a guy who was a linebacker and used to be a quarterback. That team I thought had potential, could have made a nice playoff run if the quarterback position would have held. Goes to show you how important that position is. But yeah, you sum it all up. This does not happen. A startup program has never had this level of success at any level of college football. There just hadn't been that dip. There hasn't been, and Caleb Noble's the new coach is here, and nobody's expecting it to drop off. The talent level's incredible. The ceiling for this year's team is very high.
Well, especially in a conference that is the SEC of Division II. There's hundreds of Division II schools across the country, but this conference is the toughest by far with our members, Valdosta State and West Alabama and West Georgia, just all the schools. Valdosta State's always been, pretty much a powerhouse. We talked about Austin Reed, some of the elite players, but last year UWF got their first NFL player in Anthony Bell, a defensive back for the Cleveland Browns. I saw on Facebook he was doing rock, paper, scissors with a fan, and he gave away his cleats to them because he lost. Tell us a little.
Yeah,
Who's
D
going to
Bell's
be?
a great kid.
Talk a little bit about D Bell and the next Argo that's going to be in the NFL, maybe.
No, D'Anthony Bell, who was a safety, came to us out of the JUCO route. And again, I just saw somebody today post something and saying, quit telling kids not to go to JUCO. JUCOs can be great. It can help you develop, give you that next opportunity or get you a better opportunity. If you don't have anything else, why not? If you want to play football, baseball, whatever it is, basketball, man, go play the JUCO route, get your body bigger, faster, and stronger. I tell friends of mine who have kids, that are coming out of high school, and it's like, well, he's not getting the offers. COVID has backed all this stuff up. We could do a whole show on that.
Yeah.
Go to a JUCO, man. There's nothing wrong with that. Get your early coursework knocked out and get yourself better. So D'Anthony did that. Comes to us. Kid's a monster. Looks like a linebacker. Runs like a safety. Can come up to the line of scrimmage and put a lick on you. Can cover in the back end. All that good stuff. And is just a great dude. Graduated from this department that I teach in, the communication department. And they went out there. Was undrafted. Thought he might have a chance, but didn't get drafted. But got to the right team. Plays special teams, does all the things you wanted to do, and actually got on the field quite a bit on that second defense with the Browns. You know this. Your next opportunity is that far away. Somebody goes down in front of you. Whatever happens, and you got to be ready to get up there. So D Bell, he's back. They love him in Cleveland. They brought it, but it's a business, right? You watch Hard Knocks. You've been there. I've been around it. We all know this. Like, they're gonna bring in new guys the next year. And just because you made it as an undrafted free agent the first year, guess what? Every year's an audition. You got to do it again in camp. He knows that. He's pushing. What I love is D Bell is also a resource for David Durden, the All-American wide receiver who we had. Thought he might get drafted. He was prospect X and the whole, athletic and all that kind of stuff. And didn't get drafted, but the Cowboys signed him right away as an undrafted free agent wide receiver. He can play special teams. He's physical as well. Another kid out of Georgia. But Durden was telling me, Dave was telling me, see, I call D Bell, and D Bell tells me this is what to look for and do this. So, Argo's helping Argos. Argos to NFL is our hashtag. And, I think Dave has got a good chance to make the Cowboys roster. How big would that be to have a player on the Cowboys?
What about, it's amazing. I'm sure they probably reached out to Jeremy Reeves, and Martin Emerson Jr. is another kid from Pensacola in the same position group meeting room every day with D Bell. So a lot of DBs from Pensacola in the NFL. It's something in the water DB coaches are giving.
There's also another cool story for us. We had a defensive lineman on that national championship team, Matt Gotel, who is out from Washington State, and he played JUCO and came to us from one of the Great Lakes College or something, transferred to us. And Matt, got out. He went to Seahawks camp right after he was done playing for us. Didn't make it, got cut, but wound up in the XFL playing for the San Antonio Brahmas. Had a great season. He got an invitation to the Falcons camp, and they just signed him to a contract. Now he's still got to make the final cuts, but Matt's 340 pounds is what you're looking for at an interior lineman at the NFL level size-wise. If he doesn't make the roster every week, he might make the practice squad. I mean, we're starting to see opportunities. Somebody needs to give my guy Quentin Randolph a shot. He's been killing the Arena League indoor football, and it's like, why is he not getting an opportunity to play in the XFL, USFL, Canada, somewhere like that? The dude just makes plays. He was, those yards you tossed out for Austin Reed in 2019, like about 300 of those were to Q, making ridiculous catches and scoring touchdowns. He still holds, I think, the record for most touchdowns at receiver in a game, and in the championship game. So
he was amazing. He was amazing.
You love to see it, and it does. It speaks to the fact that, look, the statistics, they don't lie. If you go to Alabama, if you play in the SEC, you still got a better shot of making the NFL. Just we see the way it works. Like, every guy that plays on Georgia's defense got drafted last year in the first round or whatever, something ridiculous like that. Is it harder to make the league out of a D2 school? Absolutely. But and I know, and anybody who knows football knows, they're going to find you. The NFL is about winning. They're about putting together the best roster. If you can play, they're going to find you. I think back to the legendary Gil Brandt and the Cowboys. I mean, they go find guys, Thomas Hollywood Henderson, Larry Allen, just dudes that were, playing at Sonoma State and all these other places that nobody really knew even had football. They'll come get you if you can play the game.
Yeah, I think that, I think I talked to you about this. That's one of my big regrets is coming out of college. I got more to go to the Cowboys than the Browns, and I should have gone to the Cowboys. Tom Landry was the coach, and Gene Stallings was the DB coach.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anybody tells you don't have regrets, I don't know. I'm not too sure about that.
There's always some.
Hey, it's not only football players, but, the baseball teams won the national title. Steve Fell, the golf coach, has got more than anybody there. The soccer, there's a girl on the soccer team that's playing in the World Cup.
Yeah, I just did an interview with Joe Bartlinski, our women's soccer coach, about Denisha Blackwood, who played for Jamaica second time in the World Cup. She plays professionally. She played for the Houston Dash in the women's professional league here, and he named off a bunch of other ones that have played, around the world. And he this to what we're talking about. Coach Bart said this. He said, "Look, we play incredible soccer here. Is it the big school? No, but players are starting to figure out transfer portal, has changed the world a little bit, but even in women's soccer, like, hey, come play somewhere where you can play super competitive soccer and you're not just a number or a cog in the system. You're right. Treated as an individual. You're going to have a good time. You're going to bond with your teammates and feel a little bit, it's a little different. It really is a different feel at this level. But yeah, Derek Racine, of course, Ralph Skeeter Carson before him, tennis programs are winning national championships and titles individually and in his teams. I think volleyball's been on the doorstep of making that run the last couple of years. And Melissa Walter, if anybody's going to find a way to get that done, our volleyball coach will get her team into that elite status and hopefully win a title there. And, baseball's been right around it again. And, everybody, men's and women's soccer both feel like coming into the season. That's what you love. Everybody's expectations are conference championship, NCAA, playoffs, national championship.
Dave Scott, got to hand it to Dave Scott. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk
Richard
about
Berg. Richard Berg before him,
Richard Berg, and then Dave continued it and elevated. And then the same thing, the president now, and Judy Benz was a visionary back then. I'd be remiss. Also be remiss if we didn't talk about Trent Jeffcoat getting the Division II Golden Glove Award. I didn't see much of it in the news or the paper, but let's give Trent a shout out for that, because that's a rare honor.
Yeah, playing for his dad is cool. Mike and I go back, Coach Jeffcoat to high school days, and so to see Trent out there, I've got a son who's about the same age as Trent, so they grew up playing baseball around Pensacola against each other, and through the years before he went to Charlotte and came back, and so that's awesome. And Trent, he gutted it out last season. He had some injury issues and some things going on that a lot of people as athletes, we don't know all that they're dealing with. And with him, it was some injuries, and he fought through them and tried to, with a young team, he needed to be there as the leader, one of the veteran guys. And so congrats to him. Yeah, he can play. He's fast. He's got the talent and the skill. And he'll be back for another year.
Yeah, he's still
I have a hard time. Paul, I can't figure out anymore. Wait, I thought he was a senior last year. Then it's like, well, they got that extra COVID year or whatever. Eventually all that'll clear out. But right now it's like, this kid's been here for 15 years. Like, what are we doing? Austin Reed's still playing. I remember when he walked in the door as a redshirt freshman transfer, and that seems like 18 years ago. But
hey, I stopped coaching like 5 or 6 years ago, and Kit, one of a player from transfer from Central Arkansas. Kit, defensive tackle, plays for the Argos now.
Wow. Yeah. And that's the thing. They can be around and move around now, and how many places you can go. And
James Kitt.
Yeah. We could spend a whole episode on what's the deal with the portal and what changes need to be made. But I say this often. I was like, the transfer portal giveth and the transfer portal taketh away. And so the Argos have been blessed to have some really good talent come in through it. And obviously Austin Reed and Puda Walker from Pine Forest, who's gone on to, Kennesaw State, and some others that have left after having success here. So, coaches, it's a different world. They've got to deal with that at every level. in every sport, right? So talking to basketball coaches, and it's like, we're talking about, hey, you got to re-recruit your locker room every year. Just because you got that player on campus and it's part of your program doesn't mean that they have to stay. They can go somewhere else. And so you got to have that relationship with them. You got to be checking their temperature on a regular basis, and it makes it harder because the coaches, that already have so many things to deal with. So you need good assistants, you need good graduate assistants, you need somebody, you need good leaders in your locker room that can come to you and say, hey, Paul's not happy, something's going on, and and so then as a coach, you can jump in and be like, hey, what's happening? How can we make it better? So it's tough, man.
Well, you need good position coaches.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now,
that spend all the time with the kids and get a relationship with them, and trust them and love them and care for them, and then you won't see that transfer that much anymore. That's because the head coach has too many things. He can't keep track of 120 guys out there. He's got 5 billion things going on,
and that's harder. That is harder at this level because you don't have as big a coaching staff, and so it is. You need the GAs and you definitely need those guys, right, those leadership veteran guys in your locker room and on your roster that can help with that and say, either take a kid under their wing and help them through as a peer, or go to the coaching staff and say, hey, something's happening over here.
Yeah.
This guy's not happy. We're feeling this vibe. You
right,
need to put your finger on that. So yeah, it's like I say, it's like parenting, but you're parenting,
yes.
20 kids or 100 kids or whatever it is, your sport. And I can't even, I got 2 and I'm like, I don't even know. Like, we talked about having a third, and I told my wife, it's like, I like man to man. I don't want to play zone.
Oh God.
I don't want to have to figure that out.
Jeez, I can't even. It's like polygamy, man. I don't see how they can handle more than one wife. I can't even handle one, for crying out loud. So with all the growth going on, the facilities are improving, and thank God for the fundraising that's going on. But new AstroTurf on the playing field, new sports medicine facility, and of course most of it's in the field house, right? We're going to have fans now with almost 1,700 in attendance that can be in the field house. Talk about all the facility expansion.
Yeah, well, that's been a long time coming. I mean, the field house, suffered some damage years ago with a hurricane, took out the bleachers on one side, and then it's just kind of been getting by because you're always doing something. And it's like it's hard to stop and do a major project like this. But the time had come, the money was there. So a lot of it's between the walls. You'll see some of it. You won't see all of it. Just making sure the connectivity is better and everything's where it needs to be. Redoing some space, offices and locker room stuff. But then in the arena, you're going to see bleachers back on the other side. Video boards will go up.
Two video boards.
Moving it into a more modern era, and allowing for what we do with athletic communication, the ability to have a control room in the back of the building that'll be the hub for all the streaming and broadcasting that we do, which will be fantastic. And just really, it needed it, and people will tell me, man, I saw Conway Twitty in that building, or Stephen Stills play a concert way back when. And, it'll allow us to get back to some of that too, doing some other events outside of just the athletic events, both for the university and for the public. And nice to have another facility outside of the one arena in town, the Bay Center, downtown, the old Civic Center. You had the Bayfront Auditorium at one point, but really there's nothing else. There's no smaller size venue. So we get a couple thousand people in there, 2,000 to 3,000 people for events. And it'll be a great way to bring more people out to campus. And then obviously Penn Air Field, we got some work to do, right? We need to build a stadium. I mean, it looks great now. It's a great place to come watch a game. And, but you want more. We talked about where this football program is and where this athletic program is. Right. You want something that matches that matches the success and the ambition that we have. And so
build more.
To have, the Darrell Gooden Center is fantastic on the end of the field where where the weight room is and all that. We're building an extension, the Sandy Sansing Sports Medicine extension on that building, which will allow for better space for training, and for the coaches will move into the building out of their portable offices. Yeah. And then
Coach Shinnick for 7 years at a portable office, man.
Then let's take that around the corner, and eventually start with the home side of the stadium and build that home side, and then we're off and running. So that's next. But man, if you've done any construction right now, remodeled a house or anything, it's hard to get material. Stuff is expensive to build a stadium, even a smaller one. That price tag is, man, it's there. So hey, if anybody wants to write us a check for $25 million, UWF,
we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it.
We'll make it happen.
Man, there's new weight rooms, new locker rooms, coaching offices. Is there any plans to honor Coach Shinnick? And I wanted to know how is he doing, because I'd go up and visit with him all the time. How's he doing up there in Towson?
It's all business. I'd kind of keep track of the staff and see what they're doing, and because a lot of those guys were here for a long time, and so they've got their work cut out for them. I mean, just as they did when they started the program here, a little bit different there, obviously an established conference, and kind of needing to turn some things around. But if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Pete Shinnick. That's a tough one. I don't know about the first part of that because, scheduling is tough. I don't know if he's got a week available to come back, but I wouldn't think that would be this season. I think that would be
down the road. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think any doubt about it. And I know Pete and his wife, they kept their house here near campus. And I think, from talking to him along the way, the plan is at whatever time he decides to stop coaching there, whether it be Towson or somewhere else, that this is where they'd come back to.
Oh, wow. He kept his home here. Wow.
Yeah, he's got a brother that has a church down at Fort Walton, and they loved it here. They loved the beach and, like Florida weather and everything. So I think they come back here. I mean, he's making some pretty decent money up there at Towson, Paul. He can hang out of the house here.
So, yeah. So your Longhorns are coming to the SEC next year. But matter of fact, they're playing my Crimson Tide here in a few weeks in the 9th.
Yeah, it was kind of cool how when they played last year, it was a great football game.
Yeah.
That was like, okay, this is what, we could see this all the time at the SEC. What's crazy to me, all this movement and all this shakedown. I mean, I think you and I talked about this a couple, year or two ago, even. This has been coming. And anybody who's surprised, you just weren't paying attention. It's going to gel into 2 or 3 conferences that are sitting at the top with all the best teams and the big brand programs. And then everybody else is going to have to figure out what they're going to do. And that's going to be a Wild West for a while. We're going to see it shake down. And so people will ask us, you're going to go Division I. Well, we don't have any plans to at the University of West Florida, but depending on what happens above us and how things shake down, who knows? Who knows what the landscape looks like after. But for the SEC, I mean, football is one thing, right? And the SEC has obviously got the best football. We're talking about the guys getting drafted to the league and who's won the most championships. It's the SEC is year in and year out. You just pick whoever's picked to win the SEC has got to be the favorite to win the national title, right? But look at the other sports now. I mean, SEC baseball ridiculously strong, and now you're adding Texas to that. The Longhorns, SEC softball. Florida's playing for a national championship. Who are they playing against? Oh, Oklahoma. Now Oklahoma, the 3-time defending champs, they're in the SEC with softball. I mean, it's already the strongest.
Well, yeah, you're right, man. Oregon, Washington joining the Big Ten, USC, UCLA becoming Big Ten members. They'll have 18 teams next year. Arizona, Utah, Arizona State join the Big 12 with Colorado. And we all know about Texas and Oklahoma, but they're all chasing the SEC, Will. And in football, it's for sure, because out of the last 14 years, Alabama, Georgia, and Clemson have won 10 of them. Georgia 2, Clemson 2, Bama 6. And the others, Auburn, LSU, FSU, Ohio State. So the SEC has won 13 of the last 19 in 5 different teams.
And it doesn't even feel like it's that close anymore. Like the level of play, it's just not. And then and so it's kind of like, it's almost like the SEC. The SEC is almost becoming its own version of the NFL. And at some point, and I
almost one tier and then 2 and then 3.
I don't think this would ever happen, but it's almost like the SEC could be like, you know what? Forget the rest of you. We'll just play ourselves and we'll have the SEC championship, and that's all we need. Whoever wins this league.
It might go that way, Will, because the recruiting is still heavy SEC over everybody else.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just giving myself as an example, but that was a long time ago. I wanted to go to the best team in the country, and it would happen to be Alabama, and I didn't even know where it was on the map. I just said, Coach Brian, Alabama, I'm going there. Well, I was just a nobody, 1-star, 2-star, if they even had stars back then. But now everybody wants to go to a winner.
Well, they want to go where they know they're going to get that NFL pop. They've got an opportunity to be seen more often, and there's a pedigree and a pipeline to the league. And Georgia and Alabama and all these schools have been doing it for years. And so I don't know what the answer is if you're Florida State. I don't know what the answer is if you're Notre Dame or you're.
I do. I know.
Yeah. No.
Ask me, Will. You don't
have
to ask
me. But I'm just saying,
hey,
you better hope the SEC is interested in you, because if they're not.
Oh, they got to be. Would they be stupid not to? FSU trustee and former FSU quarterback Drew Weatherford said the other day, quote, "It's not a matter of if, but when we leave the ACC."
Right, but the question is, does the SEC want you?
Oh, I would take Clemson and FSU and leave everybody else, just like Texas, just like they took Texas and Oklahoma.
think back to the days we're talking about, the olden days. Where's Miami? Where's Miami going? Who's got the opportunity? So
well, they can join one of the other two big conferences, because like my brother predicted 6-7 years ago, it looks like there's going to be 3 with about 22 teams.
Yeah.
And right now, if you're standing still, you're getting passed. Pac-12 commissioner found that out. So the ACC better start moving and getting off the ball, or they're going to get drowned.
Their members are going to have to make runs and figure out where they're going. And it's all about the TV money, but we could spend a whole day on that. So.
Yeah, it's all about the money. All right, Will, what classes are you teaching this year?
I do some video production courses, a media management course, which, we'll talk about in that media management course. We'll talk about this stuff. We'll talk about TV money and how it impacts sports and all that kind of stuff, and what, how it changes the landscape, but also the NFL deals and other sports and how you're trying to find money, stream, and why ESPN wants all these small conferences now. They need streaming content. So I'll teach that, and I'll teach our Voyager, which is our student newspaper. It's now multimedia, a bunch of that. But then, of course, I've got my students working on our broadcast. I've got them working on our programming. And then I jump into doing our first game September 1st. Kentucky Wesleyan comes in. We'll be at home on a Friday night for that first home game. And then on the road for a couple, including September 16th at Florida A&M. We'll play another FCS opponent over in Tallahassee against the Rattlers. And then we'll be back home. And then, of course, late in the year, we've got Valdosta coming in. We've got, West Georgia coming in, some big names here on campus. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great season.
Have you started a podcast yet, or are you too busy?
No, I do a little one called Surrounded by Sports with some friends of mine where we talk about all kinds of stuff. But no,
how do you make time for everything?
I just hold on tight, Paul. It's like riding a bull at a rodeo. Like, hey, I tell
you're
them,
the voice of the Argos. You're a professor.
Strap my hand on here so I don't fall off. So.
Oh my gosh, let's talk a little bit about quarterback Pee Wee Jarrett. He's back now. Also some local guys, James Kidd, Mystical McGee. Talk about some of the leaders that are emerging early in practices.
This is, it's interesting. This is, I would say last year it was kind of David Durden's team. Dave was not just offensively, but in general he was the elder statesman. He was the, the most talented dude, the All-American. It's definitely Pee Wee Jarrett's team right now from a player standpoint. Obviously, Caleb Nobles and his staff are putting their imprint on, but Pee Wee is, he's a fun dude. He's a vocal guy. He's very, extroverted kind of thing, the way he comes off when he's around you. But last year he was new, even though he was a junior, he's a transfer in. I think he kind of felt like, let me find my place. But he was out in the spring with a knee injury after the season ended, and he's just definitely taken on that role. And I think the coaching staff asked him to, hey, we need you to be a vocal leader. So he's doing that. So look for him to have, Caleb Nobles is a quarterback whisperer. I mean, Austin Reed will tell you, I'm not where I am today without Caleb Nobles, the time I spent with him. So Pee Wee, I expect to see improvement from him in some areas like distribution of the football and getting it out quicker and a bunch of stuff that they're working on him with. He'll be great. Defensively, man, there's talent and there's length and there's athleticism flying around. They're going to play a 4-3 instead of a 3-4. They're going to try to get after the quarterback. They're going to be looking to pressure you. It's going to be a little bit different defense. It was previously more bend, don't break in the red zone. Now it's going to be like, no, we're here to punch you in the face and dominate you
early in the downs.
Early
on first down. I'm a 4-3 guy. I always played the 4-3, so I'm glad they're going to that.
Just seeing some of these guys that practice, it's like, oh, that's a different body type that we haven't had, and their defensive end and some other things. So I think this team's ceiling is as high as any team we've had here, and then it just becomes, do people stay healthy? Do some guys develop the way you want them to? You expect them to. Does somebody, kind of come out of nowhere and give you something that you didn't expect, like Austin Reed did back in 2019, maybe a different position this time. But, it's a dogfight week in and week out in the GSC, but this team seems built to handle that.
Will, is the first game against Kentucky Wesleyan on a Friday night?
It's a Friday night. Yeah, we've played some openers on Thursday nights before, and I know it's tough on a Friday night because of high school football. I get that, but what it is for us is rather than being in that jumble, that dog pile that first Saturday and kind of getting lost in everything else, it's an opportunity for us to play on a Friday at the Division II level, for everybody to see us, with a lot of hype going into the season. And people say, okay, let me get a look at UWF. And then I can try to deal with everything else on the Saturday. So hopefully we'll go out and put on a show and people will be like, ooh, they're back. They're here again, that kind of thing.
All right. What do we got on the Alabama-Texas game this year? Any dinner? We got lunch?
Let's do some let's do some lunch, man.
Okay.
Barbecue.
Right.
Barbecue.
Right.
Are we doing is it Dreamland?
Lunch?
Is it Dreamland or is it Black Terry Black's barbecue or that kind of thing? So yeah. Very good. Appreciate it, Paul.
Will, it's always a joy to have you on my show, man. I really appreciate what you do. You're great at what you do as a teacher and as a broadcaster, and you're a quality guy. Thanks for joining the show, buddy.
Appreciate it. You see my clock over my shoulder there. It's got a little Longhorn alarm clock there. It always tells me when it's time to beat up on Alabama.
Oh, I got plenty of Bama. I got plenty of Bama stuff behind me. I got to throw the green screen in,
All right, Paul. Appreciate it, man.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
You too.
See you, Will. Wow. Will Kennedy, voice of the Crimson Tide. Unbelievable. Stay tuned for these important messages from our great sponsor. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. Hill Kelly Dodge, Seiler Agency. Go see Jack Seiler. Ronnie's Car Wash. See them all over the place. They're the best car wash in town, not even close. Step One Auto. Go see them get a new vehicle today. Pensacola Glass. Go see Woody Waters, Pensacola Glass. Will Rentschler, State Farm. Great guy. Like I said, Cordova Lanes. Let's go. Take your kids, take your family, take your friends bowling. Arbitrium is the official landscaper of Coach's Corner. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for these messages. We'll be talking to you real soon.
There's a reason why Hill Kelly in Pensacola is the #1 selling Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer between Jacksonville and New Orleans. While other dealers have taken advantage of a competitive market with higher prices, Hill Kelly has discounted prices to the lowest of the year. And Hill Kelly in Pensacola won't surprise you with excessive charges beyond the selling price. Come see why people from Milton, Pace, Foley, Bay Minette, Daphne, Gulf Shores, Mobile, and beyond are driving to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to buy their next new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram. At Hill Kelly, the bottom line price and your satisfaction are what really matter. So before you sign, check the bottom line and make the trip to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to see what true local ownership can do for you. At Hill Kelly Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Highway 29 in Car City, Pensacola. Or shop online 24/7 at hillkellydodge.com. When it comes to bottom line pricing, nobody beats a Hill Kelly deal. Nobody.
My name is Steve Reynolds. I'm the manager and owner of Cordova Lanes, and we help keep your mind out of the gutter. Cordova Lanes is part of the community of Pensacola. Being here for 43 years, we've entertained more people than any other bowling center in the city. We sell fun for a living. Cordova Lanes is located at 2111 Airport Boulevard in Pensacola, behind Cordova Mall. Come on out and see us at Cordova Lanes Bowling Center. Thank you.
Arbitrium Consulting for all your fencing, landscaping, pressure washing, tree trimming needs. Call 850-483-0350 for your free estimates. Serving Pensacola, Gulf Breeze, Navarre, Fort Walton, Destin, Perdido, Gulf Shores, Foley, and the entire Gulf Coast. Arbitrium Consulting is owner-operated, fully licensed and insured. Call today, 850-483-0350, the official landscaper of Coach's Corner.
Barnes Heating and Air is a proud sponsor of Alabama football, serving the entire Pensacola community for over 50 years. Barnes Heating and Air is passionate about providing customers with world-class air conditioning and heating repairs, sales, and installation. Barnes Heating and Air is family-owned, insured, and committed to quality. For a free estimate, call 478-0141. Barnes Heating and Air is #1 in customer service with service calls 7 days a week. Call Barnes Heating and Air, 478-0141, and roll Tide.
Over 30 years, you have seen the orange Beck signs all over the Gulf Coast listing a property for sale or lease. Beck Partners is your trusted advisor in commercial real estate, property management, commercial and personal insurance. Senior Vice President David Valletto has been with Beck Partners since 1989. Take advantage of his wealth of knowledge by calling him today at 982-7352, 982-7352. Extensive experience in all aspects of leasing, sales, management, and site selection will make sure your expectations are exceeded.